There was one book that taught us the secret to lasting weight loss, and it's called Atomic Habits, written by James Clear. We thought that when it came to weight loss or starting a new program, you just need to have more motivation, right? And there was always this thought, and so many women I think still think about weight loss like this today, of, we're willing to do whatever it takes to get the weight off as fast as possible. And then once we do that, we'll be really, really good this time and we'll just be able to maintain it. But one thing that this book helped us realize is that there's a problem with that line of thinking, because the set of actions that you do in order to lose the weight are not the same actions and habits that you're willing to do for the rest of your life to keep the weight off. You can think about this in terms of something like keto or Optavia. You're able to do those things for a really short period of time, because even if you love carbs, the pain of not eating carbs is outweighed by the pain of your jeans not fitting, or the fact that you can't stand being in photos with your family. So you're willing to make that sacrifice and not eat carbs for a short period of time until it alleviates some of that pain that you're feeling by being overweight. But the problem is that once the weight comes off, you're no longer in that pain, and now you're not willing to do those same actions or habits, right? Like cutting out carbs. You're not willing to do that for the rest of your life. But the problem here is that you usually end up regaining back all of the weight you lost, and then you're surprised, like, why did I gain back all of this weight? But the reality is you had a very different set of habits and a very different set of actions that you were taking in order to lose the weight that you're no longer doing. In that sense, we kind of have to stop being so surprised when we regain the weight back, even though we're not doing the same actions. Essentially, you start going back to that old set of habits, and that's not the same set of habits that got you the result, and this is why you can't sustain any type of lasting change.
Right, and so what the book Atomic Habits taught us is that lasting change requires a true identity change, because our habits and behaviors are deeply rooted in our identity and our self-perception. So if you want to maintain your weight loss results, you really have to transform yourself into a whole different person with a different set of habits and beliefs that align with your new healthy lifestyle. And when you attempt to lose weight, you often focus solely on just changing external factors like diet and exercise routines. You focus on things like, how many calories should I eat? How many hours of cardio do I need to do? What foods are good versus what foods are bad? While these are all important and they do play a role in weight loss, they're only temporary band-aid solutions if you don't address the underlying beliefs about yourself and your identity that drive your actions. Sure, like, you might start these habits because of motivation, but the only reason that you'll stick with it is if it truly becomes part of your identity. So again, true behavior change is actually identity change. When you think about it, anyone can convince themselves to go to the gym or eat a salad once or twice, but if you don't shift the belief behind that new behavior that you're doing of going to the gym or eating salad, then it's hard to stick with those long-term changes. Those improvements are really only temporary until they become part of who you are.
Yeah, so for example, if you see yourself as someone who struggles with food and you have no control over your eating habits, you might keep falling back into those old patterns of emotional eating or overdoing it. And in order to really make a lasting change, you actually need to redefine yourself and redefine your identity and actually see yourself as someone who is in control of their food choices and who makes healthy decisions. And this kind of goes back to the conversation that we were having about keto, right? You're willing to do keto for a short period of time in order to lose weight. But if you're someone that loves carbs, you're probably never going to identify as someone that I hate carbs. So you're not going to want to cut out carbs for the rest of your life, because you're always going to identify as, oh my God, I love bread. Oh my God, I love pasta.
Right.
So that's never going to be a long-term sustainable change for you, because you're not going to identify as someone like, I hate carbs and they're going to be out of my life forever. We have to remember that it's this transformation into a new identity that means adopting a new set of habits and a new set of routines that align with your weight loss goals. It's going to mean developing this mindset where you have more discipline and more compassion for yourself, and where you're willing to persevere even when you don't feel like it. You're going to have to figure out how to step into and really embrace that identity of a person who values and prioritizes health and who chooses to nourish their body with nutritious foods and who enjoys living an active lifestyle. Really, it's going to be about embodying what that fit and healthy person looks like if you want to create a lasting and sustainable change. It's really about becoming the person that embodies those qualities and those habits of what you want to achieve.
It's really the ultimate form of intrinsic motivation is when a habit becomes part of your identity. It's so important. It's one thing to say, I'm the type of person that wants this, but it's something very different to say, I'm the type of person who is this. So when you think about a former smoker and you say, I want to quit smoking versus I'm not a smoker, well, now your identity is tied to that you are not a smoker, not that you want to quit smoking. It's like, I don't do that. That is not my identity any longer.
If you identify as someone like, I'm not a smoker anymore, and I offer you a pack of cigarettes, you're gonna be like,
oh no, I don't smoke.
I don't smoke.
That's completely different.
It's a different level of conviction.
It's completely different level of conviction, completely, right? It's the same thing with like, oh, I'm trying to be healthy versus like, I'm a healthy person. I don't do those things, or I don't eat those things, or I don't do those actions. The more pride you have in a certain aspect of your identity, the more motivated you're going to be to maintain the habits associated with that. If you want to be a fit and healthy person, if you have this idea in your mind, you're someone who isn't jumping from diet to diet without seeing any results, then you have to start behaving like a fit and healthy person that isn't constantly dieting. And so the more that you can start to embody that person, the more you start to view yourself as that person, the more likely you are to maintain the habits associated with being that person.
Yeah, and in addition to that, it's like you can take that new identity and you always get to tie that back to your why. And that's something that we're really big on in our program, is making every single one of our clients establish their why. Why are they on this journey? What is the outcome that they want to create? Like, who is the person that they want to become? And that's because understanding the reasons behind your weight loss journey and connecting it to your values and your goals and that future vision of yourself, that's what's going to help reinforce your commitment to change. So if you can really establish that deep understanding of why you want to be healthier and why you want to be happier and why you want to feel more energy, now it becomes much easier to stay on track and actually resist the temptations that might have pulled you off track in the past or hinder your progress when it's not tied to any deeper, more meaningful reason.
With all of this, what this book really has taught us is that you have to develop a new set of beliefs, new habits, and new ways of really viewing the world. And sometimes that does mean leaving an old part of your life behind. And that's really scary to do because our brains are designed to keep us comfortable and to keep us safe. To help make this identity change sustainable, you also really need to build a strong support system and to surround yourself with like-minded people who share similar goals. You think of, accountability partners or friends or family members who encourage and support your new habits. That can make a significant difference in maintaining lasting change. That's because they're going to help reinforce your new identity and not make you feel shameful for leaving an old part of you behind. Now, if you don't have anyone in your immediate circle that supports you or understands your journey, that's totally okay. There is so much power in online connection these days. Staying active inside of our Facebook community that we have created literally for this reason, and meeting new online friends or accountability partners who are on the same journey, that's going to be such a great way to reinforce this new identity that you're trying to uphold. Plus, reading books like Atomic Habits, listening to podcasts, audiobooks, joining webinars of like-minded people are all great ways to make sure you're holding strong and reinforcing your new identity. And by doing all of this, you're going to see exactly how identity change does get you those lasting weight loss results that you've really been looking for.